So this lesson covers more on the visual effects of the stick figure and the background figures, and how to design your own figures and make your animations more creative. So I forgot to mention these buttons in the last lesson. These four buttons are called the quick resize tools. I usually disable these because they're annoying. The first one curves the node, the segment, and the second one locks it. The third one stretches the segment, and the last one rotates the segment. Alright, actually we're gonna go to Safari here, and we're gonna search up some stick figures we can actually import from a website. So if we just search sticknodes.com/stickfigures, not just sticknodes.com, it will bring you to the creator's site. So sticknodes.com/stickfigures, let's press enter. Alright, this is what the site looks like. You'll see there's a variety of figures you can download: backgrounds, effects, objects, packs, people, weapons, etc., etc. Here are the popular searches. You can see like what the StickNodes community is capable of making. Let's pick a background. Let's pick this simple room we can download. Alright, we have our room here, all simple and gray, and not a lot going on. Let's take this figure that's hiding behind the background. Let's place it in front. So if we select the figure and then push forward, it will push itself in front of the background. There we have the stick figure in the room now. We can also flip the stick figure, flip it X on the X axis and the Y axis. There we are. And this stick figure, we can rotate the stick figure, but if we rotate the background figure, you have to use the joystick on the left to rotate it, because it doesn't have any other nodes, unlike the stick figure here. You can also rotate it with the joystick as well, if you really wanted to. Let's go ahead and delete the background. We don't need it for now. Let's scroll down all the way to import a figure. Let's import another figure. Let's see what we have on the menu. Alright, I want to select this cop car and import it. I think it will be a good example. And be careful of these unnecessary nodes like the lights on the car, and there are weirdly placed nodes on the ends of the car. And if we go to the background here, I already said gray, but I mean black, but whatever. Let's change this to a more pleasing color. Let's change it to light blue, like the sky. There are also gradients you can use. You can make the gradient fit, or you can expand the gradient beyond the camera frame. You see right there, it just blends in with the blue. I'm not gonna use the gradient. Now let's size this figure down, push it backward so it looks like it's in the car, and scale this figure down if we select it. You could also scale the car up, but it's just preference at the end of the day. Let's make it look like he's driving it. There we go. We can also change the stick figure color if we select it. Change any color we want, skin tone, or just camouflaging. You could also transform it to have like a one color stick figure. So if we get rid of the segment colors, if we scroll down a bit, go to the segment tools, you can disable the colors. You can see there's a slight shade of black that doesn't match with the others. And let's change the limbs of this stick figure. We can give it some upper body, or just make it more buff looking and tall. If we use the segment scale down here, just slightly increasing the size of the upper body and some of the lower body. Let's go on to some text fields. So if we click on the frame and scroll down, see the text field tools. Text field here, You can change the scale, change the rotation, the opacity. You can add shadows. There's a bunch of filters that goes for uh, these text fields. There are also a lot of fonts, a very wide variety. There are emojis and those weird symbols. So I added a background and a text field that just says hello. So let's give this person another person to talk to. Let's copy paste this stick figure. Let's flip it so it looks like it's facing and actually having conversation. Copy and paste this text box as well. Copy, paste. There we go. You can change the rotation. Looks neater. And those icons in the top left that I mentioned last lesson, the second icon is the panning, where it pans and moves every stick figure text field, every figure, unless it's locked. So yeah, I can just move it around. And the third is the camera icon, the camera options, camera tools. You can move the camera around, you can zoom in, rotate the camera. I want to show you this feature. It's called an auto camera. When you scroll on the camera tools to the auto camera function, it's basically an automatic camera, I guess. Like, you can position the camera in any frame and it will go to that frame automatically. You'll see what I mean. Just let's add some frames here. Now if we go to the last frame and position the camera in a different setting here and enable auto camera in the first frame that we want. See, I didn't enable auto camera there. Let's go to the first frame, enable auto camera. Let's select the number to the last frame, ease in, ease out. Let's pick ease 1, and there you have it, our automatic camera, and I didn't need to animate the camera at all. It's all automatic. You'll see we can delete auto camera here, but it doesn't delete auto camera in all the frames necessarily. It disables it, but you have to reposition the camera back in every single frame that you used auto camera in. There is this one other feature that is also an auto camera feature that I really like about StickNodes. It's the wobble. So if we enable all these settings here, and you have to enable them in every frame, I forgot. So we're gonna have to delete all these frames unless we can just enable them manually in every single frame, but I don't want to do that, so let's just delete all these frames and it will automatically enable them in every frame. You'll see that it will wobble the animation, the camera. It looks real good when it wobbles. You can also add these widescreen bars, more dramatic effect. A quick little tip about animating in these backgrounds. You'll see if I animate, you don't see the onion skin because it's blocking, the background is blocking the onion skin. So let's go to view options and scroll and put the onion skin to show in the front. So that way you have you can animate while using a background. I also want to showcase the stick figure filters. We have the opacity, the hue, the saturation, glow, and shadows. I think that's everything. Now let's learn how to create a stick figure. So, yep, a piece of advice, the more nodes a stick figure uses, the more lag it will produce. So be careful of that. Treat this stick figure as a project you were to animate. So we have a bunch of segment options. Segments, rounded segment, circles, ellipses, triangles, trapezoids, polygon, polyfill. You can also load background images if you want to trace and make your own stick figure. You can trace the frame of your animation. Trace the stick figure you want to trace. Now let's go over all the segments. So we can curve the rounded and normal segments. You can obviously, change the stick figure scale, add gradients to specific segments, stretch these segments, flip the whole figure. If you make a node static, it means the node doesn't show up in the once you export the stick figure. So let's go over to the next segment. Circle, you can half arc it. The ellipse, you can also half arc it. You can change the color, whatever, still. And you can actually make this ellipse a circle if you expand and diminish the ellipses enough. You can see the difference there. And we can change the triangle, flipped, right triangle, whatever, and the trap ratio and the vertices on the polygon. Now next I want to show you the polyfill. So let's make an empty box. So the polyfill is used to fill in the shapes, the shape that you make. So let's try a box. In the olden days, we would use rounded segments and use a bunch of nodes. It would be very infuriating, so that's what polyfill is for. So to use polyfill, we should start at the base and then work our way up. So we go to the next segment, select the next node, not that node, the node there, and then that node to this node, that node to this node. You'll see how to do it, and then all connected, and you connect back to the base. There you have it, your polyfilled shape right there. You can also change the polyfill color right there, and then you can change the segment color as well to match the polyfill. And let's try to use sound. We got out of the creating stick figure menu. So if we select the frame on the animation, we can import the sound. If you scroll down a bit, and let's add some frames here. Let's actually make our animation, a quick animation to showcase sound. So let's do a punching animation. Let's put a punch there. You usually want to put the sound on the frame or right before the impact frame. And there's our animation. Alright, this is what I want y'all to get out of this lesson. So you know how to download, import, add, and delete stick figures. You know how to color stick figures and scaling stick figures and their limbs. You know how to rotate figures. You know how to use backgrounds, use background color, and using those text fields. You know how to pan. You know what panning is. You know how to use the camera well. You know these little features on StickNodes for the camera, and you know how to create your own figure. An action step I want you all to do today is to make some art. It doesn't have to be a whole animation. It can just be one single frame. Go ahead and download some effects from the website, download some figures, download some backgrounds, be creative, and implement what you've learned in this lesson